Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan's speech in the National Assembly of Armenia yesterday had a shocking effect on the society. If yesterday the Prime Minister's thoughts only gave rise to assumptions that he was talking about plans to recognize Artsakh as part of Azerbaijan, this morning it became clear that those assumptions were well-founded. One by one, the MPs approached the podium, beginning and ending their speeches by thanking Pashinyan for having the courage to raise this issue. If yesterday it was not clear what Pashinyan meant when he said that the international community expects Armenia to lower the bar of Artsakh status, today the MPs revealed in their speeches that lowering the bar means recognizing Artsakh as part of Azerbaijan. This, it turns out, was the agenda of peace that the government was talking about after the end of the war. President of Artsakh, called an urgent working meeting on Wednesday after Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan's statement on lowering the bar on the Nagorno-Karabakh status caused serious concern among the public. Our society has very clear demands which we must meet by organizing diverse discussions, the President of Artsakh noted. A wide range of issues related to external challenges were discussed during the meeting. Meanwhile, the President noted that Azerbaijan's proposals on the status of Artsakh are unacceptable. We understand that we should live in the neighborhood, but subordination is impossible. It is simply unacceptable. We should be guided by the option of maintaining the status quo, as the Russians say. The Russian peacekeeping forces will remain here indefinitely, as they arrived here as a guarantor of the security of the Armenian population living in Artsakh, Harutyunyan added. Harutyunyan also weighed in on the fate of Karabakh. Continue to live here with the de facto independence, striving for further de jure change. It can be independence, it can be unification with Armenia, which I consider unlikely, but it can also be some kind of relationship with Russia within a vertical framework, the president of Artsakh added. The U.S. State Department published its annual 2021 country reports on human rights practices, in which the authors pointed to some human rights issues in Armenia. In the report, the authors noted that the snap parliamentary elections in Armenia were highly polarized and marred by increasingly inflammatory rhetoric. They also touched upon the war in Nagorno-Karabakh in 2020 and said that incidents of violence along the border during the year resulted in casualties and detentions. The report also noted serious human rights issues that had been recorded. Credible reports include torture by security forces, harsh prison conditions, judicial independence issues, severe restrictions on freedom of speech and the media. The non-reception of German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier in Ukraine has puzzled the German government, said Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Scholz himself is not going to leave for Kiev yet. The Chancellor recalled that he had been in Kiev before the war, and during the Russian special operation he often talked on the phone with President Vladimir Zelensky. Scholz said he can hardly find another head of state or government who has kept in touch with me on such a regular basis. Steinmeier joined the leaders of the Baltic states in Poland at the invitation of the president of which the president of Germany was in Warsaw. The visit of the five leaders was supposed to show the pan-European solidarity with Ukraine, but the four leaders left for Kiev and published a photo of themselves holding hands with Zelensky. The German society, like the government, is offended by Zelensky's behavior. The U.S. President's statement accusing Russia of committing genocide in Ukraine has caused a discussion in the international press. When U.S. President Joe Biden said that Russia's actions in Ukraine constitute genocide, he clarified this was not a legal declaration and that he would let the lawyers determine whether the term technically qualifies in this case. He said he used genocide because it had become clear that Russian President Vladimir Putin is trying to wipe out the idea of being able to be Ukrainian. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada said he thinks it's absolutely right more people are using the word genocide to describe Russia's actions in Ukraine. But many international experts have mixed views over whether the standard of proof has yet been met for genocide occurring in Ukraine, which would require evidence that Russia is intentionally trying to destroy a national group. The American press reminds that this is not the first time that Biden's words create problems for his foreign policy. Last month in Poland, the president spontaneously concluded that Putin could not stay in power, prompting U.S. officials to panic and insist that regime change was not the goal of the United States. Attempts by the United States and its allies to strengthen their position in the CIS are unacceptable for Moscow and are fraught with serious risks, said Mikhail Yevdokimov, director of the First Department of the Russian Foreign Ministry in the CIS. In the current situation, the mechanisms of interstate cooperation in the field of security and protection of external borders, which were formed in the CIS, are of special importance, the Russian diplomat said. Yevdokimov also noted that Russia is ready to discuss with Eurasian Union countries the issue of increasing its energy supply if they are interested in it, adding that the countries of the Union try to abandon the American dollar in domestic trade and implement it in their national currencies. According to Yevdokimov, Western countries seek to disrupt integration processes in the CIS, and to counteract this, it is necessary to adapt existing mechanisms in the field of security and coordinate work in the CIS, CSTO, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. According to him, the unprecedented Western sanctions on Russia and Belarus have affected the EU, and now the 5 states are working to mitigate the consequences, in the context of which the policy of import substitution has the greatest effect.